Okay, I think we're good.
Go ahead, everything is okay. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Asil. Welcome today to our conversation with U.S. University alumna, Maryam Al-Bader. We're very excited for you to join us. My name is Paula Masad, one of the Education USA representatives at the U.S. Embassy in Doha. And today with me, I have my colleague, Asil.
Hi, Maryam. I'm Asil Ugaili. I'm one of the education advisors at the U.S. Embassy. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for Khansa to facilitate this session.
Yes, and most,
So.
thank you, Asil. And of course, welcome to Khansa Maria, who will be moderating today's session, today's conversation with Maryam. I'll turn it over to Khansa. Please, if you have any questions throughout the conversation, add them to the chat, and we'll be sure to get to them towards the end of the discussion. Thank you. Khansa, it's all yours.
You are muted, Khansa, sorry. We can't hear you, you are still muted. Okay.
Hello. Yep. Yeah, it wouldn't let me mute for some reason. You can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. So excited about it. Thank you so much for joining us, Maryam. We're really looking forward to listening to your story, listening to your experiences, and learning from you. And thank you to the U.S. Embassy for inviting me to moderate. And without further ado, let's hear from Maryam. Just a small introduction. Maryam owns Flat White. I'm sure you've all had coffee there. I have. And Maryam has done law from Boston Law College. So without any further ado, let's begin our conversation with Maryam. Maryam, can you tell us a little about why you decided to apply to the US and what was that entire experience like? Did you look at Boston and just decide that that was the place for you? What was it like for you?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to speak here today. And I would like to just introduce myself. My name is Maryam Al-Bader. I am the owner of Flat White Speciality Coffee in Qatar. And I'm 32 years old. I am a mom for one son. His name is Abdullah. And I was my background. I have a legal background. I did my undergraduate studies in the UK, in London, and in Swansea University, and then my postgraduate degree was in the US from Boston College. It was one of the best experiences that I've ever had in my education. I graduated in 2013, and then I came back to Qatar. I used to work as a legal counsel at Qatar Foundation and then at Hamad bin Khalifa University. Until 2019, I decided to fully focus on my business and leave my day job. And it was a nice decision. I miss working, but I had to be full-time also on my business. So back in 2013, I decided to go to Boston because when I used to go to business trips with Qatar Foundation, I used to go a lot to the US. And then one of our trips was to Boston, and I visited Harvard University, and I visited a few universities also in DC. So I said, no, I would like to come and pursue my degree there in the US because I saw that it will be like a change and different, and like how the education system is a little bit different than it is in the UK. So I took that decision, and it was amazing, to be honest. There were many factors that made me choose Boston because it was cozy. It was the university's hub in the US. Everything was walking distance, and then when I spoke to Boston College, and it was also like I spoke to BU, they were very welcoming. When I applied there, when I got accepted, I didn't hesitate to go there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So before you got accepted, what was the application process like? Did you find it to be easy? What are your tips from the application process? Can you tell us a little more? Because I'm sure there are a lot of students who will watch this who are considering applying and some who are in the middle of their applications.
Okay, so basically, I applied for my master's degree after working for at least 2 years.
Mhm.
After I finished 2 years, I found exactly what I wanted to do. Basically, I wanted to specialize in intellectual property. So it made me know what kind of field that I want to focus on. So there was a website I remember, I think it's called LSAC or something like that. I can't
Mhm.
remember exactly. So in that website, I did apply. It was a very easy process because it was all in one website. So I applied. I put all my reference letters from my previous professors and managers at work, and then I applied to the universities that I had in mind, and I specified which course that I wanted to take. So, and then after that, it was a super easy process. They contacted me via email, whether it was accepted and in which course and when do I start. So the process was, it was really easy, to be honest.
Okay. So when you were applying, did you have to give a standardized test like the SAT or well, the GRE or like LSAT or something?
No, not really. No, I think they just because I'm not sure, like for the undergrad, how does it work for the
Mhm.
undergraduate courses, but for the postgraduate, they just asked me for my degrees, and you know, because I applied for an LLM.
Mhm.
So they just wanted to see like what was my degree from which university and the reference letter, and then I just wrote a personal statement. Why did I choose this course?
Okay, so you're done with your application, you've gotten your acceptance, you're finally in the US and you're finally in Boston. What was that
Yeah.
feeling like? Um, Perhaps describe one of your experiences there, perhaps one of your first memories.
Okay, so Boston was beautiful, to be honest, because I went there in August. So the weather was really nice. It's summer. All the students were coming at the same time. So I arrived like 10 days before orientation just to settle in. I went with my father and my mother. They were there with me to support me, especially they were a little bit worried that it is far from Qatar. But when they went there, it wasn't that far, to be honest. Back in 2013, I remember there was no direct flights to Boston, but in 2014, before graduating, there was like some direct flights from on Emirates airline, and now I think there are direct flights from on Qatar Airways. So they came with me. They settled. We found a nice apartment near like the train station that takes me directly to my college. It was like, you know, like the first 10 days just to see how will I commute, what will I do, all of that. So it was a nice experience, to be honest. And also, like, Boston is a beautiful city, so it wasn't that hard. After settling in and everything, and the university helped me a lot, to be honest, to see it. And told me like what areas should I live in, the direct lines, so I can use like the public transportation more. I did not drive back then, but I knew a lot of my friends who were there. They used to drive from their buildings to the university. So it was a really nice experience, to be honest. I wish it was more than 1 year.
Yes, definitely. I know that's how I feel about my undergrad in Qatar, even though it was 4 years long. So you mentioned you had friends there. Was it easy for you to find a community there, perhaps people from Qatar? And obviously, you mentioned your parents had some reservations as well. So can you tell us a little about what that was like? Perhaps you
Hello?
convincing them. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, I think the connection um, had a problem or something. But I was just asking you, perhaps, what was that experience of convincing your parents or making them feel comfortable? Were you able to find people from Qatar over there? Were you able to find sort of your own community? And what was that process like of making friends, of finding community, of making sure that your family felt comfortable in sending you there?
Yeah, so basically, like my family, when they came and they saw the, like they saw how was the university, they met also like with some of my professors, they saw how everything was welcoming and that everybody knows each other. So, and they felt really comfortable about it. The first 2 days, my dad used to take me to the university as if I'm like going to my first grade, but it was it was nice so he can feel more comfortable and like to see the campus himself. And then having friends, it wasn't an issue, to be honest, because in my course, there was a lot of international people as well, and a lot of Americans, and they were all, to be honest, friendly. And friendship comes. You don't need to have friends only from Qatar. I didn't have any friends from Qatar, to be honest. I had a lot of friends from the GCC countries, and I had like a very, very close friend. She was Colombian as well, and we became really close. So it wasn't really that hard to find friends, especially like if you go for education. It was really easy to find people that have mutual interest. And I used to go to a lot of events at the university. So like I used to meet a lot of people there.
Okay, that makes sense. So were you able to travel the US outside of your university? And what kind of activities were you a part of outside of the classroom? Perhaps any clubs, societies, or any internships you did while you were there?
Yeah, so I used to travel a lot, to be honest, during Christmas and Easter break to New York, because it was the 3 hours by train, and some really like to DC, North Carolina. So I wanted to explore the city as well, like the country as well. So it was very easy to commute, and it was very safe for us and we used to go as groups of people. And also the universities had some events, to take us to nearby cities there to explore Boston, outside central Boston. So it was a very nice experience. This is regarding traveling, but in terms of clubs and what I used to go to a lot of sports events and like baseball, basketball, and things that the university usually do.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little about your classroom experience? What was it like? Perhaps how was it different from what you may have experienced early on?
Okay, so what I really loved is the interaction with the professors at in Boston. So it was very nice that they know you by name, and the group classes and the seminars were very limited. Not like the lectures that are like 50, 60, or even 100. There are other group seminars that you are only 15 or 20. So the professor knows you by name, and they were very welcoming that I used to go after classes to ask them any questions or if I had any difficulty, because the system was a little bit different, and they were really very much interested about my background and the place I used to work in. They had even questions for me, and they wanted to see my input, and like they wanted to also learn from me. So that's what I really loved about my experience there.
Yeah, I resonate with that definitely, because when I came to Qatar, I think one of the things that attracted me to Georgetown was just the fact that Georgetown also had a really small class size, so you could get to know your professors, and you could work individually with them, and they could sort of tailor what you were doing to your strengths. So I can definitely understand the benefit of sort of doing that.
Yes.
What were some of the cultural differences that you may have noticed? Were you able to adapt easily, or were there some things that bothered you?
To be honest, I was surprised that how the university handled having someone from a different background, from a different religion coming. So in the first 10 days of orientation, the dean of law school, he called me and he said, "Hi, Maryam, and everything. We know you're Muslim and everything. We have a key for you. This is a room, just to perform your prayers there, even without even me asking, because he said, like, I know that you have long hours, and really I appreciated that. And until this day, it touched me, like, because I used to think that I will have the full day there and then I have to go to do my prayers at home, but by themselves, they just gave me a key for a room that has a rug, a prayer rug, and he told me you can perform your prayers at any times, and this key is just for you. So they made it easier, to be honest, for me to live there and not feel like, like I cannot perform my prayers properly or any of that. So that was really nice. And as I mentioned, like, Boston is a city that is known, that has a lot of international students coming from everywhere. So culturally, it wasn't hard for us or for the people there to accept, like, the living. It wasn't really different.
That sounds like such an amazing experience to have people who were there for you, who understood your different experiences and wanted to cater to them.
Yeah.
What were some of the disadvantages of studying in the US, if any?
Disadvantages, I don't see any disadvantages, but the only thing is the time difference. It was a little bit when we call our families, there is an 8 to 10 hours time difference when we call them, but we managed after a few months, like, it wasn't a huge disadvantage, but it's just the time difference.
Yeah, I was lucky because I didn't have a lot of time difference. It was 2 hours, and yet I can imagine that it must have been a huge difference for you when you were settling in and just figuring things out. But I guess one gets used to it and finds their own schedule. So
Yes.
you've spoken about the memories you made, the friends you made, and the travel that you were able to do, and your amazing faculty. But other than that, what were some of the advantages of studying in the US?
Okay, so I believe that studying abroad really broaden, like, your thinking, your horizon. It makes you more independent. It makes you really rely on yourself. Like, we have to pay our bills, we have to buy our own groceries. We have to cook and do everything by ourselves. So it was a learning process, to be honest. And you have a lot of responsibility. So this builds. It builds you, so you can, after coming back, you feel like you can do everything by yourself. You don't need somebody to do this for you, do that. It's amazing for people to do things for us, but it's like you learn this when you are abroad, when you're alone. So that was the main thing that that helped me there. And like, when you study abroad, you see different things, you get inspired as well. It's a different culture, it's a different like, it's a different energy. So as I said, like, I don't know, like, I always say this, like, I was inspired to open flat white in Boston. I used to go to this cafe, it's called Thinking Cup, on daily basis, just to meet my friends and have really good coffee. And then I discovered that there is something more than the other coffees that we drink. And then I became more interested to learn about it. And I said, okay, maybe we need a spot like this in Doha. So then I started working on my plan, my business plan, my feasibility study to start this project.
So that sounds fascinating, because when I lived alone, I realized as well that there are some things that you can only learn when you live alone, when you get that experience of having to do everything for yourself and being responsible for everything. So I definitely resonate with that. And as you mentioned, flat white was an idea that was born over there. Can you tell us a little more about things that you may have learned which helped you when you came back to Doha and started working here, or even while you established flat white, while you were creating your feasibility and all that?
Yeah. So also, like, now I just remembered that I had one Qatari friend, but she was from Doha. I didn't get to meet her from Boston, but she used to go to MIT. Her name is Haya Al-Ghanem. So Haya is one of my dear friends. Like, we've spent a lot of, of time there having coffee. And when I opened Flat White, she said, "Oh my God, you did like an amazing job," because we used to go to this coffee. It's called the Voltage Cafe. It used to be in Russell. It's like in Cambridge, and like, because studying, you just need a nice vibe and nice area, and and a good coffee. So now that I remember this, I remember that really we had a good time just having that, and we missed that back then in Doha in 2013. If you go to Doha, you only can find like Starbucks or Costa Coffee or those like franchise chains that that you can have a spot to study or meet your friends. But then this made me feel like, okay, that we can do something beyond that.
Yes, definitely. I can tell you, I've gone plenty of times to Flat White to study, especially when I was finishing my final thesis. So
Amazing.
I'd say you have definitely succeeded in that, in creating that space for students. So to all those who are listening to this, who are planning to apply to the US, who are thinking about whether they should go to study to the US or whether they shouldn't, do you have any tips for them? Any, advice, any suggestions?
Yeah, so I would really recommend that they do their research. They search a lot about the university and see the pros and cons and how they feel about it. So studying in the US is amazing, and it's a different experience, and everyone will have their own experience and journey. But you need to understand yourself as a person. Where would you like to live? Or because it's a huge country. For example, I didn't see myself in New York because I felt like it was too busy and that. But a lot of people, I know that they studied in New York. So it's just like you need to understand yourself. What do you like? And how do you want to be, like, where do you want to see yourself? For example, Boston used to be very cold in winter. So if people, if you are as a student or like as a person, you don't like cold weathers, then maybe you could explore different states and different cities as well. So it's the beauty of studying in the USA. That's a huge country, so you can, like, if you don't like this weather, you can find, you can go somewhere here. So there are a lot of options, and you can always check the rankings of the universities, and there are everything is there in the on their websites and online, so you can do a lot of research before going there, so you can understand. I did a lot of research before going also in terms of the finding an accommodation. So at least when you go there, you wouldn't be, surprised. You can like narrow down things and understand like what is available and what is not available.
That is amazing advice. I am also starting grad school in the fall, so that's definitely wonderful advice for me as well. And something that especially resonated with me was this idea that everyone has their own unique story and unique preferences. So it is up to cater to this. Thank you so much for joining me, Maryam. I know I have many, many more questions, but I want to give any viewers an opportunity to ask us their questions, to give us their thoughts, and to engage with us. So, Ms. Paula, do we have any questions?
We have a few questions that aren't directly related to this conversation, so I'll address those later. Marian, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. And I appreciate what you said about doing your research before choosing your university, and I think that's really important for anybody listening to this session. We at Education USA, Asil and myself, we are happy to help you narrow down that search when you start looking for a U.S. university. We encourage you to make an advising appointment with us. Marian, what are the next steps for you? I'm curious. I know you have Flat White, and it's such an exciting business, a very successful business, and I can only imagine how scary it was to start that project.
Yeah,
But
it was really scary for us, to be honest. It was risky as well. Paula, like opening a business in general, any kind of business is a risk, but I believed in I believe in coffee. I believe that in the community that comes out of coffee, and we're very blessed that we've created this community in Qatar, and that it is not only now about coffee. It's about it's beyond coffee now. It's about the people. It's about the people that comes here, the artists, the creatives. So they feel related somehow to Flat White. So this is how like how important it is, like for us, this project. So my next plans are to expand, inshallah, maybe going to the US, I don't know, but we're planning to make this project go bigger. And in terms of education, also we're planning maybe in 1 or 2 years to go and pursue our PhDs, inshallah. So hopefully we'll see how it goes.
That's very exciting. Currently, how many branches of Flat White are there in Qatar?
So currently there are 5 branches, and we're opening the 6th in 2 months, inshallah.
Oh, do you think about expanding in the Gulf region? Is that a consideration?
Well, honestly, we had this plan in 2017, so we will see how will this go. But I think it is time, maybe like after the World Cup in 2022, maybe we can go to explore other GCC countries as well.
I just love the idea that you created this space that sort of just goes beyond just a coffee shop, a social gathering.
Yeah.
Space. And that you were inspired from your experience in Boston. Let me just digress a little bit and touch back to your experience in Boston. As a woman, how did you feel safe and secure in the Boston area in the United States?
Okay, so to be honest, it was I spent 1 full year there because my LLM was for 1 year. It was very safe. They were very welcoming. I didn't have to change anything. Like I was always wearing my hijab. It was very accepting, and also, culturally, and as I said, in terms of religion, the faculty was very supportive, and they were very, they wanted me to not feel that, like I'm away from my country, from my culture and everything. So they were very accommodating to that. That was really nice. So, and as I said, I did a lot of research about the city, and when I used to visit during my business trips, so I know how it is. It wasn't surprising to me. So I'm happy that it was a good experience.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you felt welcomed, and that you said you were wearing your hijab in the United States, and that's that they created a prayer space for you while you were doing your study. It just sounds like they did everything to help you feel like you had a place there, that you were welcome, and that's wonderful.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, and I understand your work with your brother in the coffee shop.
No, he's my husband.
Your husband.
Nasser, my
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. My apologies for misunderstanding.
No, it's okay. No, of course, he's my husband Nasser, and he's also a US graduate, but he went to William and Mary in Virginia in Williamsburg.
Okay.
So. And also like Nasser, my husband is like me. He did his undergraduate in the UK, and then he decided to do his postgraduate in the US, and his experience was amazing as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you both have that common experience. So that's why you said when you think about going to the United States, possibly to do your PhD, that's a big decision.
Inshallah, hopefully.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Asil, do you have any questions you'd like to jump in with, or? Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for this really wonderful conversation. There are some questions that are not exactly related to Maryam's experience. In fact, they are related to Education USA in general. So maybe Paula, would you like to address these? Like one of them is related to visa, and although we are not experts in visa, but this is, can I apply for university? Yeah, if I'm a visitor.
I'll just address the visa question. We're not consular officers, but we can give you general guidance. You can apply for a student visa once you have an acceptance into a US university. So once you get that acceptance into the university, you'll receive an I-20 form. And once you have the I-20 form and you pay your SEVIS fee, you can, or you can book your appointment before you pay your SEVIS fee, but you have to make sure you pay that fee before you show up for your appointment. So that's how you get a student visa. You have to have an acceptance into a US college or university or some kind of study program. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yes, and you can email consular.doha@state.gov for any questions related to visa. I've just written their email in the chat box. Ala, sorry, because I don't know if it's a male or female. Another question is related to low GPA. Would it affect applying for graduate studies in the States?
Different universities have different requirements. And I think they're not only looking at your grade point average, they're looking at all of you. So there are other pieces to the application process. So I wouldn't, if you have a low GPA, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of studying in the United States. You may have to do some research into your options of universities that would accept you, that have the programs you're interested in study, but they're also going to be looking at things that you're involved with, your interests in general, and if you would be a good fit for that program and why you're interested in that program. And again, I would encourage you to book an advising appointment with us so we can help guide you more individually. So it is possible. Don't rule it out.
Yeah. And feel free to email us at doha@educationusa.org. So I'm going to write it in the chat box if you need anything, any questions in general with regard to Education USA, or if you'd like to book an appointment, as Paula mentioned. So Paula, another question that we got through our Facebook page, because we are streaming live there. One of the questions is related to working in the States or training, any training opportunities or working job opportunities for students there. If you'd like to.
When you finish your degree, or sometimes in the middle while you're working in your degree, you have the option of doing training afterwards. You can stay for up to 1 year if you have a placement with a company to do your optional practical training. Maryam, were you aware of that? Did you?
No, actually, I wasn't. No, I'm not sure about the training.
Okay, so there is an opportunity once you complete your degree to stay for up to 1 year, and sometimes that can be extended on your visa. So that is a possibility.
Yep. Great.
Hope that answers the question.
Yep. So I don't see any other questions. Just 1 second. Let me just check for the last time. There aren't questions on our Facebook page. Lots of people are thanking you, and everyone is saying thank you so much, Maryam, for sharing your experience, sharing your story, and I'm sure you will be a source of inspiration for lots of Qataris and non-Qataris who are living here. Thank you so much, Khansa, for the great facilitation. Thanks a lot, Paula, for your facilitation of the questions. We hope that students here in Qatar would benefit from the experience that Maryam has, and please feel free to reach out to us through our Facebook page, through our email, and thanks all, and we welcome anyone who is interested in knowing more about studying in the States. And we would like to let you know that our sessions are all there about different topics on our Facebook, Twitter, and the embassy social media platforms, and also our services are all for free. We welcome everyone, anyone who is interested in knowing more. You are all welcome. Sorry, last minute question. Is there any age limit to apply student visa?
No,
So,
there's no age limit as long as you have an acceptance into a US university or college or study program. You can apply for a student visa.
Yeah. And again, if you have some other questions that you don't feel comfortable raising right now or sharing now, or if you have some questions that come to your mind afterwards, feel free to reach out to us through our email, doha@educationusa.org, and we welcome everyone. Thank you so much, and wishing you all a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asia. Thank you, Paula and Khansa. Thank you.
Thank you.